Typically in shonen stories, the main character's worldview and ideals are steadfast and foundational that the plot of the story revolves around. But there are some characters that choose a different path for their main characters to destroy their worldview. In the beginning of the story, Itadori never really was affected by the events that took place. All he needed was the dying words of his late grandfather, the words that forged his current worldview. In this dark moment of trauma, as we proceed through the story, the only moral obligation or idea was when Nanami and himself found out that they had just killed humans, not cursed spirits, on the roof. I found this personally more surprising than Itadori's death. Early in the story, Itadori sacrifices himself in order to allow his friends a few moments of reprieve. But that's what I expected from him. That's the character he shows himself at the very start of the story, when the first finger is found. By the time he actually gone and died, I expected that fully from his character. I felt that moment on the roof with Nanami was far more impactful and traumatic than his death itself. The idea that he was a murderer, this was more traumatic. It disgusted him, and it's an issue that is still unresolved. He has an overwhelming value in others. Itadori is destroyed, simple put, unable to even fight back, a frightened child. And as his worldview is shattered for all of us to see, as they see his friend lying lifelessly, Itadori thinks back to the good times, trying to live in fantasy, trying to deny what has just happened. This is that choice I spoke of earlier. The writer might choose to shatter the character's worldview. Contrasting Itadori, Mahito is at the top of the world, feeling closer to his ultimate self than he ever has before. But now he speaks his truth, rather than simply mocking his opponent. Itadori was stupid to come here and expect not to lose someone, like it's a fairy tale, like it's a joke. This is more than just a battle. There is more than just your friends' lives at stake. Don't be so naive to expect just to show up and win. This is war. This war's objective is not to correct what one side thinks is a mistake, but it's an ultimate war of opposing ideals and the ultimate survival of two people. Mahito sees himself as the cursed version of Itadori. One kills others without thinking for a moment, and the other protects them overwhelmingly without thought and no caution to his own life. Mahito is a cursed spirit made up of the negative emotions that humans feel about one another, and it interests me to see himself distance himself from humans to such a high degree. He kills humans without thinking, but his existence is only brought about by them. Ultimately, he has to put value in their life, just as I believe Itadori puts value in the lives of curses. At this point, Itadori is catatonic. He doesn't reply, but I suspect that he probably does count. Or at least he started to count on that roof with Nanami, the first time they came across altered humans. It would help explain why Itadori is so naive. He can see the other side of this war, and he can sympathize with them. And if that's true, what does that mean of Mahito's ideals? Unfortunately, there's no time for reflection, only death.
お前のこともそのうち忘れるさ。
Todo arrives, and he arrives as a poet. We'll return to that poem later, but he demands that Itadori gets up, and Itadori displays his despair.
俺はもっといっぱい人を助けなきゃって死んでたと思っていたもの。俺のための言い訳だったんだよ。
The weight of not only the two deaths of his loved ones, all the transformed humans he's been forced to kill. He's nothing but a murderer. But there's one thing that's true, that we know is true, that Todo is good at making Itadori a better jujutsu sorcerer. But in this moment, how is he gonna manage that?
お前は何を託された？今すぐ答えを出す必要はない。だが答えが出るまで決して足を止めるな。
Everything Todo says to the viewer, his views, his life, all the people that he has lost are reflected in the poem from the start. It encapsulates it all. The sound of the gong, Shibuya bells, echoes the impermanence of all things. People don't last forever. The color of the Sala flowers reveal the truth. The imagery of red, which can vastly be considered death, that the prosperous must decline. Prosperous being people who can use cursed energy because they exist outside of karma. But we are the exceptions. We're jujutsu sorcerers. So stand up, because you do not fight alone. You fight for all of those who have given their lives, and you're not allowed to die till you pay that debt. I love the contrast in this fight compared to the fight with Hanami. In that fight, Todo refuses to help Itadori until he masters the Black Flash. And here, we see that he has the emotional intelligence to switch up his approaches. He sees Itadori broken, inconsolable, and remains silent, protecting him until he's ready to speak, and he speaks respectively. The story so far has depicted Todo as a kind of a dumbass, yet he's intelligent enough to make these correct decisions. After seeing the Gojo has been taken away, he formulates a new plan and acts upon it immediately. Always a joy to watch Todo on page and screen, but because his convictions are so strong that he could be the main character, the ones whose convictions could revolve around. Simply put, he's always a strong character. Todo leaves to defend his brother right after passing on his wisdom, while the man accompanying him tends to Itadori. He explains that he has an ability. That ability can pause anyone's damage that they have taken. They won't bleed out, they won't die from their wounds. And if they take more damage, those wounds can kill them. And he's done the same to Nobara. She might still live. With this information, alongside Todo's words of determination, Itadori manages to stand up.
ごめん、ナナミ。楽になろうとした。罪すらも逃げる言い訳にした。あとは頼みます。
He then apologizes to Nanami. Then they set the stage for what will be the final climax at 120% of their potential. I love this episode. So many characters open up completely, and you just get to hop straight inside their head and see how they think. If you like the video, just like it. You know, don't commit to anything, just a like button. And I can't wait to see how these two brothers close out this fantastic arc.